Okay, perfect. Okay, so good morning, everybody, or good evening, or good afternoon. Sorry for these technical issues. Um, so, day two of our pit stop training. So today we're gonna talk about global changes and action lists. So welcome again. We are two, so Freddie Peters and myself, Laurent de Wilde. A few things, that we want to explain before beginning about recordings. So everybody was asking for that. So yes, the sessions are being recorded, and the links will be mailed after the training. Okay, so that's the first thing. Um, Q&A and chat box. So please use well the chat box indeed to communicate about audio problems or those things. But for the questions, we ask you to use the Q&A panel. The advantage is that we can then link the question and the answer, so the answer always stay grouped together with the questions. So that's a better way. In the chat, the problem is that the question will disappear in all the chat information. So for the questions, use the Q&A, please. Thank you. And then again, the files that we use for the training are available on this address. So yesterday after training, we added some files that were used yesterday. And here today, I already prepared some of them. And depending on what we show, we will probably add some of them. Okay. Um, Perfect. So we can begin now with the global change first. Right. So this is my file from yesterday. So yesterday we explained the inspector and so on, and we could of course modify the color, for instance, and we also used yesterday something very interesting, which was the select similar object. So by this, we could select all the text items with the same font or the object with the same color, etc. And then we could change the value. So it worked fine, but I also explained yesterday that this was limited to one page only. So this is limited by one page, and also these are manual actions. By manual actions, I mean it works perfectly in PitStop Pro, but it won't work with PitStop Server. With PitStop Server, we will create action lists, etc., that we will be able to use in PitStop Server to automate, to process a lot of the jobs in batch. Okay, we will explain PitStop Server tomorrow, but know that we will need action lists and prefab profiles. Okay, right. So what I can do here, I can use the global changes. Okay. Uh, in the global changes, I have a lot of nice small actions that I can use in a very effective way. For instance, I can here change a specific color. Okay. So you see here there are presets, a lot of actions that are presets. They are grouped together in different categories. If we talk about color, document, fonts, etc. What you can also do here, you can also just search for a certain word, for instance, color, and then again I have some presets that appear. So this is very handy as well. If you know what that the word is in the name of the global change. So change specific color, for instance. And in this, I will simply look for, it's a kind of search and replace. I will look for one color and I will replace it to another one. So you see that I have already selected some text. So now I can just grab fill. And this is the red I want to replace. And I want to replace it by, okay, it can be another color I can use. For instance, I can select this one and I can grab as well. Okay, and that's my Pantone warm red. And I can save this action. Then it will be saved, but it won't be run. Or I can save and run it directly. Okay, I do this. And okay, that's it. All the red information was converted to this Pantone. So if we check this, I disable CMYK, and yes, indeed, you can see that this was a very easy way to replace the color. And again, as I said, well, I said this works on all pages. Actually, you can define this here. Here we can define this is executed on your complete PDF document, so on all your pages, or only the current page, or pages. Well, of course, I have here a one-page document, but if you have many pages, you can imagine the difference. With the pages, you can select all pages. You can select only the odd page or the even pages, and you can make a selection here. You can say, for instance, this is like you have in InDesign, for instance, when you print or export a PDF, you can select. You can say, okay, I want page 1 until 10, etc. Comma 15, for instance. What's also interesting to know, and you see that in the small information that appears on screen, you can add the uppercase R to count from the back. Okay, so if you do this, 1 minus R1, so reverse 1. So reverse 1 is the last page. So in this case, I will just execute the global change on all pages, from the first one to the last one. If I only want to, for instance, execute something on the inner pages and not on the cover pages, I can say simply, okay, I can define this way, depending, okay, if I call my cover as 1 or 2 pages, or for instance, I can do this. So I begin at page 3, and then I go to the end of the document, excluding the 2 last pages, right? Okay.
Yeah, this is Freddy. There was a question from Ferris about adding page numbers for pages with different colors on different pages. So here you have a possible approach. You do a page selection, you run your global change, and then you can change the definition of the global change and run it on different pages. Yeah? And if you want to really include that because it's always the same, and you want to make that part of the global change, well, of course, that won't work, but then you will have to do page selection, which is possible then using action lists, which we will talk about later on. So just to answer this question that came in through the Q&A.
Okay, thank you, Freddy. We will switch this way. We will just switch the headphone. It will be more effective than switching roles, etc., as we did yesterday. Okay, so I was explaining, this is interesting to know that you can execute your global change on the whole document or part of it. And then we also have this, show results, always or never. So in this case, I used the option never. I will just revert my document to the saved document. Okay. And I'll do the same, but I will select show results always, and I select all pages. Okay, and now in this case, what happens is nothing. Should I redefine it? No. Okay, this is the red. Yeah, I think it's this one. The complete document. Yeah, this will work. That was the selection. Okay, I think it was on selection and there was no selection. Show result always, run. Yeah, that's way better. And now we see here the result. So there was one change. I remapped specific color to a specific color, keeping overprint, and it happened 10 times on page one. Okay, if you have more pages, of course, you will have more explanation here. And by this, I can open this and I can browse to my into my document, and I can have a look and click on each item to see manually each item that was selected. Here, you see I've got this object highlight option. So if I put this on, it will put a kind of a gray mask around the document, and only the object will be highlighted in color. And I can also ask to select it. So if I click on it, it is directly selected. So then I can use my inspector, etc. And my selection is already active. Right. Okay, this is for the pre-flight. We'll show this later. Okay, and well, now it's a question of playing with all these global changes. There are by default with the software a lot of very interesting global changes that you can use out of the box. So we'll have a look. We can add elements on the page. Okay, so that's interesting. We can add a watermark, for instance, for them in the graphics.
Related to Farah's question.
Yes.
Add page numbers.
Okay, add page numbers was the question. Okay. Maybe I need a document with several pages. I will open one. Okay, I have here a document that you all should have, which is the PitStop Pro 2019 reference guide. And I place this in the Dropbox folder we share. So, of course, it's also available on our website. So here it is. Oh, but can I modify it or not? Is it protected? I can modify it. Excellent. Okay, so add page numbers. So number sequence to indicate page number one. First added. Preview. Text setting. Okay, I have to grab a page number text. So I have to add a text on my. I take this one, reference guide. Okay. I will select here. Wait, I will enlarge my screen. Take this one here. So I select my text. Okay, here it is. And now I can grab it. Yes. Yeah. Some numbers contain subset fonts. New page numbers may appear as spaces. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see if we have the right characters or not, because this is a subset font. I explained this yesterday. That's the preview. I can. So you need the text somewhere on your document. For instance, you type here page one, for instance, or page N, and then you grab it as I do here, and then yeah, number sequence indicate. I need a number in it, Freddy. I'm pretty sure of it. Yeah, because this is to indicate number sequence. Okay, so okay, yeah. Oh wait, I will add an extra text here. Yeah, I will add one here. Look, I will PitStop edits, and um, I will add some text here. And for instance, this way I can type chapter one, page one. Oh, not page one. Okay. And actually, it's this one is the second one that I want to use and to modify. So now, with using the select object, I select this, and then I grab it. Okay, here it is, and then I define here that my number sequence indicate page number, so it's the second one. Okay, and the first added page number is 1, so it will begin counting on page 1. Let's say I begin on page 10. Okay, I will align the text left, centered, etc. I can remove the existing text. If I don't remove it, well, on this page, on the first page, I will have this text and the one that is added on top of each other. So I will remove it. Only numbered pages that already have a number. So if you have a document and some pages like chapter pages, etc., don't have a page number, you can enable this. And you can also add a white background if necessary. If yeah, if we have a background. Okay, and I can uh, save. For instance, I want to run it, but only on a selection of pages. So by this way, I can save it, and now I can here define the pages on which I want to execute this. For instance, page 1 until 20. Okay, and I will run it. Okay, perfect. And I can see here added page number, and you see indeed chapter 1, page 10, chapter 1, page 11, page 12, 13, 14, etc. Okay, so that works fine. Okay, perfect. So add page number, add graphics, etc. I will come back to that. Certainly with the actions, so I will come back to those. Yeah, add watermark also. It's all the same idea actually. Color, change specific color. So I did that. Convert spot to CMYK. Certainly in this document, as you can see. So that's it's very easy to understand what it will do. It's a bit annoying that Acrobat is always resizing my window here. I don't know how I can avoid this. Here, so what I wanted to show is this one. Okay, so indeed there are spot colors. So convert spot to CMYK. What you can also do, yeah, when you click on it, you see that we have sometimes, well, sometimes we have a lot of options, sometimes not. In this one, I will, okay, on the complete document, I will run it, okay, remapped color space, etc. And of course, now, not this one. Can we add a dynamic barcode? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. In the Q&A, please. But yes, yeah. Okay, Freddy is having a look at the question, and we are adding them on a list, so we will show that. Okay, right. Okay, and here what happens is my colors were all the elements were indeed converted to CMYK, but the document still keeps information about those colors. So I see them appearing in the list, but actually there is nothing in those colors. Okay, but I can also remove them. Right. Yesterday we talked about, yeah, document. Yesterday we talked about fonts, and remember we were editing the file, so we had um, embedded font, etc. Here, embedded or subset embedded fonts, and I also showed the option, the possibility to convert text to outlines. Okay, so we can do this. And actually here you see that we have all those options. So we can embed fonts, font embedding. We can select any font or make a selection or just again grab some selection. Okay, this one grab selection. So it's only a defined font. Or we can embed all fonts. We can subset the font, or we can convert to outlines. Okay, and I will convert. So convert to outline any font. So run. So that's okay. All the fonts were converted. And now if I go and check the properties of my document, well, under fonts, there is nothing. There is no font anymore, of course, because everything was converted. Image. Okay, we have two images here, and by this you can compress the images. So you can change the compression of the color images or grayscale or bitmap, and you can just define the quality, etc. Or I will do something else. I will resample the images. Um, I will subsample at 20 dpi so that we see it on screen, or 10. It won't be suited for printing, but resample above, this option to only resample the images with a minimum of that resolution, etc. Keep original compression, save and run. Okay, here we go. And indeed, the result is pretty clear. I will zoom in so that even on WebEx, you see the results. We have now big, awful pixels. So yes, it works. I will revert my documents. Revert is one of the options I use the most with Acrobat, certainly when giving demos and training. I can insert empty pages. I can insert a PDF document. Yesterday we used place PDF, which is placing a PDF on the page in a certain zone defined with coordinates or objects. In this case, I can select the PDF and I will just insert it in my document. So before that page or after that page, etc. Okay. Yes, Freddie, you want to add something? Okay, Freddie wants to add something.
Yeah, because there was another question from Ferraz about collating pages. So the method that you have just shown, Laurent, means that the file that we insert, yeah, is part of the action list. So this is a good use case when you have a fixed file that has to be added. I think the question here is more like, okay, I have two PDFs and I want to collate them together. Now you can do that with Switch and put them in the same folder and merge PDF. So that's easy enough. There is no direct function in PitStop to do that. And the reason for that is very simple, because you can do that with PitStop, with Acrobat functionality. So if you could just show where that is as yeah, you go to the pages view. Yeah, there. There you go to the pages view, and in the options, you can or you can drag and drop a file in there. So yeah, that's how you would do that.
Okay. Yeah, so there are different methods, but this is very easy as well. By the way, even the preview app on Mac OS X is also very strong to do that, to combine files and to extract pages and so on. Pages, apply page boxes by applying a design layout. So yesterday we saw design layout, so we can use them. I want to up to visible and bleeds, yeah. Rotate page content, etc. Split, yeah. Split page in half. I will use this one. Look, we have here this one, yeah. We have here a brochure, and this brochure was exported. Here you can see with the spread option. So we have the first page, and then page 2 and 3, page 4 and 5, etc. So okay, it's nice to have an idea of the layout and to show it to the customer, but it's annoying when you want to go to imposition. So what we need to do is we need to split all the pages in half, and as you can see, there is a global change for that. Okay. Um, so split page in half here, and we can change actually to split all the pages horizontally or all the pages vertically. And we can also here select, there's a nice option, because of course we don't want to split the first page and we don't want to split the last page in half. So we can define here, for instance, that we want to split only the landscape pages, okay, based on the trim box. Right, remove all objects that lie completely outside of the trim box, because when you do this, After that, for instance, I will split here, but if I keep the right part of the page, all the left part of the page will still be there, but it's completely outside of the trim box. So this option will just remove it. And I can also add new printer marks. And I will save and run. Okay, this is a message from Acrobat that we get, but it's not important. And the result is there. So our page will split it. Media box was moved, removed object, added InDesign registration marks, and trim and bleed marks. Okay, so that's the result here. Okay, so we now have all separate pages. Okay, this works perfectly. Our finished format here is A4, and we don't see our crop marks, but that's not a problem because, of course, I will now show the boxes. And I should see my crop marks. Okay, maybe the boxes are not defined, or I will use this one. Yeah, yes, indeed. And wait, it's a combination of the two. Yeah, I see here, I can see that no, I can see here that I have these registration marks. So no problem. I can modify this. This is becoming interesting. If we want to modify it, well, that's where we will begin to create action lists. Okay. So what I want to do here is here. I want to remove this. Okay, and I will use the inspector. Oh, come on, inspector here. And I will, okay, right, they are all A4. So for my trim box, I will set by detection, or they are okay actually. So my bead box has to be bigger, okay. And here again, I define it manually. So let's say 230. Yeah, no, I was wrong. Sorry. That was it was the media box. 2030, 317. And my crop box should be the same as my media box. Okay, and yes, indeed. Now I do. Okay, this was only on this page, but actually I should do that on all the pages, and that's where um, I will use actions. So, okay. So we go to actions. So we here have the action lists, okay, and there again there are a lot of standard action lists that come with the software, okay, out of the box. So for packaging, about pages, you've got those resize page. This one's a bit different. Oh no, sorry, it's a resize. We have the split as well. Um, I'll do here. I'll do it another way. We have it wider. Okay, we have those standard that say split pages wider than A4, wider than sorry A5 or A4, etc. It's also another way to do it. But what we can do is we can combine both. Um, okay, so image, add, etc. Okay. Okay, we We can define pages here. We can use an action, complete document, all pages. Show result never. Okay. In this case, I used at penguin. Okay, one of the well-known samples, and it adds picture of a penguin on every page. Well, actually in the background, so I don't see it everywhere. Okay, I can modify this one. I can say I want to place it in the foreground. Okay. This is also interesting to know. All the samples here, you can see that they are locked. Okay. If when you create a new action or you modify an existing one, it will be duplicated and saved in the local category. Okay. So when you see here, you have a local category, and this is where we have all own our own action list. Okay. So now I said I want to place this one in the foreground. Okay, so if I run it again, you see that it's placed everywhere. Okay, well, PitStop is not limited to placing a penguin on the document. Actually, we can place everything we want. So the idea is always the same. Is just select the element that you want to add. For instance, here we will select the InFocus logo, and I will modify this. I'll call add InFocus logo, and I will grab my selection. See here? So always first select it with your selection tool, and then grab your selection. I can apply a rotation. I can define where I place it, foreground, background, use page rotation and scaling factor. These are extra parameters that you can have on a document. Um, when you on a PDF, you can have a page rotation tag that specifies that the file needs to be rotated, and a page scaling factor so that the file needs to be printed at 10%, for instance. And this will also be applied on the element you add. Regions. We will place our new element, so our InFocus logo, relative to well the box that you choose, the crop box, trim box, etc. And you can define margins. So if I want to leave a bit of space around the edge of the document, let's say I have a margin of 20 millimeter. Okay, and then you can repeat this one. You can say that you want to, I don't want to repeat it, I want to place it only once, or I can repeat a fixed number of times, or I can distribute a fixed numbers of graphic elements, or etc. So, or distribute elements. So this is interesting. I have another example where I will use this to step and repeat files. And this is also interesting here with a minimum distance if you want to place printing marks or, for instance, grommets, small rounds around your file that we use in large formats. Okay, and here we have the position. So let's say we want to place the graphic well center relative to the center of the region. So it would be placed right in the middle of the file, of course. But I can say use for instance, the upper left corner of the graphic I add relative to the upper left corner of the page, taking, of course, these margins into account. Right, and then I will here rename it. Yeah, I did that. Add in focus logo. Okay, so here it is on all pages. Run. Okay, and you see here I have focus logo here on every page. Okay, perfect. Um, yep. So now what I want to use as an example is this one. I take the business cards of my colleague that I used yesterday here. So, okay, foreground and background. This is a small format, and I want to print them. So I want to step and repeat the file. Okay. So what I will do here, I will create a new one from scratch. I will create a new action. Um, So there are of course different ways. You can look for an action that does more or less what you want to do, and then you can duplicate it and modify it, or you can start it from scratch as I'm doing now. Okay, so I will call this step and repeat cards. Okay, author. Yeah, always you can add your name and company, etc. So if you export it, the information is also added. And then you can see that in every action that we start from scratch, there is always this select all option. And that is very important because you always have to bear in mind that you work on a selection, of course. Um, if you, for instance, sometimes it's very obvious and sometimes it's less obvious. For instance, I um, if I select everything, if I select all, and then I outline text, for instance. So I have a function here to outline text. Okay, convert text to outlines. So this will work perfectly. Okay. Uh, but of course, if I select images, okay, uh, you can also here look for that in different ways. Well, you know you are working with images, so you open images, and then you have different possibility to change, etc., or to select. If you want to make a selection, of course, you can type select, and then you have a long list of all the objects that you can select, and then you pick up the right one. Sometimes you don't know exactly what the right one is, so you can look for it. Or in this case, I know I want to select images, for instance. Okay, and you can select images, and then, for instance, I want to downsample, but actually downsample doesn't exist, but we have a resample option. Okay, so of course you have to use the right word, and then I can resample them. Okay, so this will work. Um, of course, if I select the images and then I want to outline the text to convert my text to outline, well, this won't work because all my images are selected and no text element at all, and then I want to outline text, so this won't work. Sometimes you have a pretty long action list, and it's yes sometimes necessary to add a select all or select the right object just in your flow. Okay, so for instance, and then with these arrows here, I can move it to up or down. Okay, so again, uh, if I want to resample images like this, okay, so this will work fine. I will okay, select all is always there. I will select my images. I will resample then I will select everything, and then I will convert text to outlines. Okay. Uh, or instead of selecting everything here, I could also be more specific and select text uh, segments. Yeah. Okay. So this will work as well. Right. So what I wanted to do here is to step and repeat my business cards. So I will select everything. Then I will cut this like you do, just cut and paste. So I will copy or cut the objects to the clipboard. And also I can select here a copy or a cut. I will cut it to the clipboard. And the nice thing is that we can have many clipboards, so we can name them, for instance, business cards or whatever. Okay, and then okay, now what I want to do is I want to change the dimensions of the file. So you see here it's a small one, so I want to change the dimensions. So I will work with the boxes. So box. You see here I can remove the boxes. I can change the boxes. So I will change the media box and I will change it to an A4. So okay. Um, I will also change the other boxes. So the trim box, the crop box, etc. And for instance, I don't know, but maybe there is an art box, but I don't need it. I will remove it. There is certainly a bleed box, but because I will do my step and repeat, I'll also remove it. Okay, in this case, I defined the box, and for the other ones, I will resize it. I can, of course, define the same dimensions, or I can define using another box, using the media box that was defined, and also using the media box. Okay. Um, there are a lot of possibilities. You can also start from the existing one and say resize, and I want to add, well, for instance, 5 millimeter on each side. For instance, if you want to define your bleed box based on the trim box, you can then add 3 millimeters everywhere. Um, you can also make a selection in your document first and then resize page box to fit the selection. Remember, I did that yesterday when I isolated the barcode. Okay, so what I could do is actually I deleted everything and then I add only the barcode and I changed the box manually, but this one could be used as well. Okay, um, so I will use, so this one is okay, change the trim, the crop, remove art and bleed, okay. And now I will, okay, I had a cut, and now I will paste my object. I have to make a select all, I think, no, select to paste on the page. Yeah, okay. Look, the logical way, if you think in terms of all the prepress software that we use in InDesign Illustrator, we cut and we paste very easily. But in this case, it won't work fine because we have to paste on the page. So now I have to add, as I said, a select. I could select pages, that's one possibility, or I can just select all. Select all. Okay, sorry, put it down. Okay, and then I will paste it. Paste objects from the clipboard. Okay, and here you just choose one of the clipboards you defined in the previous action in this action list. You can clear it afterwards eventually or not. Attribute. We paste this in the foreground. Relative to region, well, relative to the media box, we have no margins. And in this case, for instance, we will repeat. We will repeat it. So number of columns, I want 2 columns, and vertically, I want 4 of them. Should work. And the distance between the edges, well, in this case, because there is already some space there, I will use. I won't add any space. Okay. And position. Okay, it will be added, and then I will move it to the center of the document. Okay. So I'll save it, and I will give it a try. Okay, and that works perfectly. So this is very nice. This works. Um, but does it work with every document? We'll check this. We have here a small, the same document with small differences. Is that here, and that's a nice way to use this one here. you can see that I extended the background. Okay, I made it much bigger, and the same here. This one I extended a lot. So will this work? Well, no. This this is the result that I get with my action. So my action was nearly perfect. Freddy will say it will work with 100 files, and then you have file number 101, and it doesn't work anymore. So okay, it worked 100%, but not really. So what is the problem here? Well, because we have a lot of well, we have big objects that run outside of the page. Okay, when well they cover each other, etc. And so it's not okay anymore. So to solve this, we will modify the action, and I have it here. So I will revert to my file here. Okay, and the difference is that we will first add a rectangle. Okay, so yeah, by the way, I will explain this. We can add objects, and we can, here we say add objects. Okay, and it changes to add line because we can here define the kind of objects we want to add. We can add a line, a rectangle, an ellipse, or a text. The text, that's the text I want to add. I can use variables. I will explain that later, but then it will become very interesting. I can select the font, etc. Okay, font out of my system. Okay. Anyway, right. In this case, we choose to add a rectangle in the foreground, and then we have to define the size for this rectangle. We can define it here, or we can use one of the page boxes. That's what we did. We use the page box, so we use the bead box, and for the width, and also we use the height of the same bead box here. Okay, right. So we add this on the document, and okay, it is centered, as you can see here. There is no fill, but there is a stroke. That's the value by default. But anyway, we don't care about that. Okay, I will remove this one. And then I will again select everything, and I will create a mask. Okay, so this is also like the mask you create with Illustrator. So we will only see, so the part that will remain is the part that is under this or in this rectangle. Okay, and now same action. We select everything, we cut it, we resize the boxes, etc., and we paste it. And the difference is that this will work fine with our documents. Okay. Okay, Freddy wants to add something. Just a second.
Yeah, now that this topic is covered, I want to answer one of the other questions that came up. These copied graphics, where are they saved? Yeah. Well, these are in the action list. It's very important to realize that both for action lists for global change and also for pre-flight profiles, that will be our topic for tomorrow. These are always self-contained, meaning that everything you need in terms of resources is in that action list global change pre-flight profile. So this penguin graphics, for example, that's simply in the EAL document. So you can also see that when you export the action list to a file, when you use things like select all and change a color and so on, then these will be relatively small. But it could be that you have action lists that are several megabytes big, because if the copied graphics represent multiple megabytes, then your action list will grow accordingly. And also when you do things like assigning ICC profiles to images, the ICC profile will be in the action list. But add text and you use a certain font, you embed it, the font will be in the action list. So that when you export this, you give this to somebody else on a totally different system, he or she imports the action list and can run it without any reference to any external resource.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, indeed, we had a question. So isn't it possible to select just everything what is inside the bleed box, so rather than create a new box? But no, we needed to create a new box because we create a mask based on that box. That's the idea. Yeah, yeah. And also when you create a mask, it's always the top object that will mask all the other ones. So that's why it's very important here that we place it here on the foreground. Okay. And by the way, we don't see the mask, huh? So we even if we add the so we have a stroke, but we don't see it. We can add a fill, but we won't see it. So that's not important in this case. Okay. What also Freddie was mentioning is that when we create actions, okay, on one computer, and we want to, we can always, so it's only not only valid for action, but for everything with PitStop, we can always export this file. Okay, I can export it. Okay, I always have a message here telling me that it's not protected with a password, so you can eventually you can protect it with a password if you want to. And then you can okay, you can export that file somewhere. In this case, we'll have a file with an oh, I will offer it to you. So I will go to training. Okay, right. So you have um, the you should have. I will add the no, sorry, it's day two. That's why. Day two. Okay. So right, you have the business card here, and I'm exporting this action list here. I save it. So now it's also on your Dropbox folder that you will be able to download at the end of the session. So you see here, that's an AAL, so it's an Enfocus action list file. So if you want to import it on your computer, very easy. You go to the actions and you just say import, and then you select the file. Okay. We can also make groups like this, like small folders, and then I can, of course, export the group or import the group in one go. New questions? No, no, no new question, Fred. Okay, right. Um, so indeed, I want now to will I use this one? Yes, I will use this document. That's okay for that. I want to stress on the importance of the selections in our in our actions that we do. Okay, so here we have some text, Proxima Nova, bolts. Okay, regular, 8 points. Okay, excellent. I will use that one. Yeah, I'll use this one. Okay, right. I revert to the non-imposed page. Right, I have this, and also I have elements with the color. Yeah, I will make. Yeah, please send the question through the Q&A and not the chat because it's easier to group them, to have a look on them, and to group the questions and the answer. Thank you. Okay, so I will create a new action here. New action. Okay, um, and for instance, I'll call this delete delete text. Okay. And for instance, what I want to do is I want to delete only the text with a specific color, etc., and a certain font. So, okay, if I have this one, right. So I can, you see here, I have some text, 8 and 13. Okay, perfect. Um, and I can select, so the, the text, I will select text segments. If I do this, all my text will be selected. Okay. Uh, but now I want, oh no, this is even not necessary. I can also select based on the fonts. Okay, so this one, bold 8, and that's also bold. Perfect. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I will select the font and the bold, and that is the regular. Okay. Um, I can select text by fonts here. Select fonts by name. Okay. And then in this case, I have to specify the name. You can type it, but if you do one typo, then it won't work, of course. So it's easier to use the font picker. So in my document, I have the Proxima Nova bolds. Okay, we see here what we see here. Okay, we explained that yesterday is because the font is subset. Right, I can select everything with that font. And if I want to remove it from my file, well, I can just, then it's also interesting to know, then you have to remove the selection. Okay, remove the selection will not um, unselect what you just selected previously, but will remove it from the document. Okay, if I do this, I will just select remove that one. Okay, removing is maybe a bit annoying to see. I will change the color. Okay, uh, I will change the color of it to a fill color, and let's say it's, yeah, CMYK. Okay, I'll make a red version. Okay, okay, here it is. So, okay, as you can see, I selected all the text with that font, with the bold font, and I changed the color to red. Okay, but now imagine I only want to select this text. So this text has a font size of 8. So I will select this one. Okay, and then so I will just revert here. Okay, I will here add a select font. No, no, something else. That select object with a certain size. Uh, oh yes. No. 5 point size. That's the one. Select. text by font size, and I can say more than this something, or in this case, equal to 8. Okay, right. Um, and now it's important to, well, okay, this one goes down. Okay. Uh, as you can see here, this change fill color will only um, be applied on this one because we have this purple selection. So will only be applied on every text that is a 1 point. So this one, phone, but also the phone number. Okay. If I want to combine it here with the font Proxima Nova, it's important to use the logical elements. So we have the yeah, actually, if I ungroup everything, we have here the operators, right? So we have the and, the or, and the not. Okay. So in this case, I want to add the and. Okay, and here you see that the and will have impact on the two previous actions. So it's a stack system. So I will select my font, this font, the bold font, and the text has to be equal to 8, and then I will change the fill color. Okay, so okay, so this works fine. If I revert to this one, okay, if instead of using and, I would use the or, okay, then it has to be the bold font or has to have a size of 8 points. So this is not the same. Okay, you see here, I have all my bold text, but also this one. This one is not bold, but was selected because of the OR. Okay, so here it's pretty simple to use and to combine, but you also have to be, yeah, you have to use it in the logical way. For instance, if I want to select the objects that are red and the objects that are blue, well, in my description, I use the word and, but actually we have no objects that are and blue and red. That's not possible. They are actually or blue or red. So in my action list, I have to use the word or. So this is pretty important. Um, okay. Um, sorry, what is the question? No. Okay. Right. This is I wanted to explain here. Oh yes, and then I have another nice sample for this. Um, I will close all my documents here. Okay, I want to use this cover, but not this version. Mm, okay. Um, so we know this document. We've already used it a few times, and here we have, yeah, the separation is perfect. Okay, right. So now in the actions, um, there is some interesting action. There are some interesting actions about layers, and I want to use the isolate one. This one, isolate images, text, graphics, and shadings. And if we have a look at what's in there, so you can see that we select images, and then we add those objects to a layer with that name. Of course, if that layer does not exist, it will be created. We can also remove these from other layers or not. Select text segments will be added to a text segment. Select line art, select shading object, etc. And we can also isolate color spaces. In this case, that's interesting. You see that we have gray color space for the fill or for the stroke. So we have a or here, and we will add these objects to a layer called device gray. We can select the calibrated elements, so calibrated gray, sorry, again, the fill or the stroke, and we have to do this in 2 steps, of course, because if I select this, it means that we must have a fill and a stroke that are calibrated gray. So it's safer to do it this way, and we add that to another layer, etc. So this will isolate all the objects and create all those layers based on the kind of color space they have. So I can run 2 of them. Okay, this one. So this one gives me first result, and then this one. Okay, and now this created the layers, but I don't see them there, so I will have to save it. It's a copy of the document. I can save it here, close it, open it again. Yes, and here it is. Okay, and now you see that all my layers were created, and I can click on that to isolate the images on my document. Yeah, by the way, the blitz here, the title is an image. I can isolate text, the graphics, the device gray objects, the device CMYK objects, the separations. So as Freddy explained yesterday, separation is the word we use for those spot colors, and the index objects. Right. So this is these are nice actions to can use for that. Yeah, Freddy wants to add something. Just a minute.
Okay, yeah, we have an interesting question here. Can we test if a selection resulted in something being selected or returned a null selection and then take action on that? Now, a very important thing to realize when you build action lists is the principle is you select something, you do something. You select something, you do something. If nothing is selected, then nothing happens, right? So if you do select Pantone colors, convert to CMYK. If no Pantone colors are selected, then nothing gets converted to CMYK. So there is no if then else that you need to do. Yeah, it's just was something selected or not. Now, but suppose that you have the case where you say, yeah, hold on a second, I want to make sure that there is a Pantone color in my file. So if select Pantone is empty, then that's a problem. And that is something you can do with log selection. So create an action list. Yeah, you can take that file. Just create or just create an action list. Yeah, you can do log selection. Yeah. Okay. But look, in the log selection, there is a choice between log the selection if there is something selected or log if nothing is selected. So in that case, you can log the absence of something. So if you expect a certain Pantone to be present, you simply do select Pantone by name, that particular Pantone. Yeah, log selection if no objects are selected, and then say Pantone is missing. Yeah, or no courier type, or no, yeah, whatever font in there. Yeah.
So indeed, if nothing is selected, I will say there is no Arial font in this document. I can report that per page, etc. I can log this as a warning or as an error. Okay, and this is you will see also tomorrow why this is very important. The with the pre-flight, so the difference between a warning and an error. And for instance, if I change this here and now I say, okay, it's Arial. Okay, so I select Arial, but there is no Arial in this document. So, okay, color text, run, and oh yes, of course. I know why it didn't work as expected. Um, and that's simply because I have this or. So I select Arial text. I don't have any Arial text, or I select text that is 8 points in size. So I have this. Okay. So if I change this to an end, for instance, um, or just remove this one. Yeah. I'll just okay. So I select this one. Yeah, that's very easy. And change field clock. Yeah, or it will stop. It will first log my message. But I can remove this one. Okay, and I run. Come on, don't tell me there is Arial somewhere. Oh yeah, it's here. The log message is here. Right. Okay. So this way I can detect it. And of course it depends where I use this action. If I use it here, I see my message here in my log that appears on screen. If I use it with PitStop server, it will appear in the log of PitStop server. And same with switch. Right. Um, okay, I have some other files I wanted to show you. Um, okay, let's take this one, invisible data. That's a nice one. Oh, okay, my Acrobat crashed. Yeah. Anyway, okay, this is a newsletter, and it's quite interesting because I had this file, and when I clicked here on View Show Wireframe, I was a bit surprised because, as you can see, there are lots of hidden items in there. So a draft and watermark that was hidden, and those things. There's also double text. So yeah, a lot of things that are shouldn't be there. Um, they can also make your document, of course, heavier, or in this case, it won't make a big difference, but they make your document more, yeah, more the structure of the document is more heavy, etc. So we will clean that, and it's very easy because again, there is an existing default action for that. I just looked on the invisible, and yes, we can just remove invisible data. Okay, so run, and as you can see here, yeah, okay, in this case, maybe it wasn't easy to see because of the log, so in that case, I won't show the log, never. I will view in, I will view in wireframe mode, okay. Okay, so now we see clearly the benefit of this one. Okay, so then we had also an interesting file. Yesterday we used the cutting here of this cactus file, um, and actually what we saw here was that this is the text, and you see, okay, the big text is very readable, but the small text is not easily readable, certainly when it's printed. On screen it's easier, but on print it's pretty difficult. So what we did here is I will select it first. Okay, here look, we have text of 10 points, okay, as a font. So we'll first, well, we can of course make this bigger. We can, oh, sorry, I will select this way. Okay, and we can move it, etc. Okay, right. No, there was a problem here with the selection. I selected too many objects. Uh, Maybe I can fix this by centering. Yeah, I can center them. Okay, perfect. Okay, right. So this is bigger, but still the text is too thin. Well, it's just a problem of this particular font, etc. So what we did is uh, we here use an action um, here. Okay, so we create an action that will select this font um, and that will convert this text to outline. And after that, okay, and when you do that, okay, you we don't have text anymore, of course. So our text is not selected because it's not text anymore, it's graphics. So we have an option here to select the last added objects. So that's interesting as well. And then we'll offset the path. Just a word on this add last added object is also interesting when you add an object. When you add a copied graphic, like the penguin I added or like the InFocus logo, the object will always be added on the page at the same size it was before. So when you defined the action, you clicked on the grab object, and then the object is taken, is copied into the action at the same size it was in the document, okay, 100%. And when you place it on the document, it's always placed at the same size. It is not resized. That's a big difference between the option that I used yesterday. Yesterday I used place PDF, and with place PDF I had the possibility to resize the PDF file when being placed on the document. Okay, so after add copy graphics, I can use the same option here, the select last added object, to then resize it. Okay, so back to this example. So we select our font, we convert it to outline, we select now the resulting vector objects, and we have an option here to offset path. So we can here define a width. We have several options here to define corner or rounded angles, etc. And let's have a look at the results. That's it. You see? So this is a nice way here to solve this the problem on this file. So it was not very readable. We had not the original file or the font we had no font or no bold font to modify. So this way we managed to solve the problem. Okay. Um, Okay, we also had a question to add a barcode. So yesterday I added a barcode, but it was an existing barcode, so an existing PDF. But yes, we can add barcode. Okay, and okay, and you can see here there are a lot of existing samples here. So add barcodes and focus. Okay, this one is with a variable. So it won't work, and I don't know if I have the right variable set. Yes. Okay. Add barcode value, etc. Okay. If it's a AIN, I have to use the exact amount of types. I will use this one. I know that with this one, 39, I don't. This one. So add this one, and then okay, add barcode value. Okay. Right. Barcode with reduction. Okay, and here it is. So my barcode is added. Okay. So let's have a look at this. We can here. That's the list of the barcodes we can use. So we can add. Sorry. So you see, it's a lot of different barcodes. So that's not a problem. You should find the one you need. And then of course here for the value, I can well type my value, but then it will always be the same. Or in this case, it was interesting. You see that when I execute the action, I have a screen, an input screen where I have to, an input form where I have to enter those values. So this brings me to variable sets. So we have here on PitStop Pro, we have the variable set. Okay, uh, it's not present in or sorry, ik heb niet de goede zijde voor die variable set, voor die barcodes. Maar hij doet het toch goed. Ja. Okay. Okay. Right. What happens here is I don't. Yeah. Okay, but it's present on my computer. It should be variable set. Variable set. Oh, it's in the standard one. No. De welke is het? Okay. Okay. What I'm looking here is that I don't have the right variable set. But I will create a new one, so I'll explain you. Okay. In the variable set preferences, I can here on my local one, I can create one new. I can call it barcodes, and then here I can define variables. The first one is the barcode value. That's the name of the variable. The user readable name is the name that will be displayed on screen for the user. Okay, I can have a constant. Constant can be a fixed number. So for my barcode value, it will be a number, or a number for the amount of colors, etc. I want to check, or for a width that I want to add. It can be a length. So if I have a value like 10 millimeter, 20 millimeter, and those things, then it's a length. It can be a text when I want to add a text, or it can be Boolean true or false. Okay, I'll make one very easy to start. I will make. Excuse me for changing my mind, but I will make a very easy one here. I have one. Um, new. Okay. Variable set. PitStop. Oh, okay. I will use a text here. The text to add, and it will be a text. Okay. I can add a default value, for instance, sample. I can allow for inputs, for manual inputs, and I can also show a predefined list of values, for instance, like a kind of pop-up. So I can add the sample, I can add confidential, etc. Okay. Then I can also define a size. So I will here define a number. Okay, the default value will be, for instance, 20, and I can change that. Okay, I have enough with those values here. I call it this one, save, right. And now what I have to do, I can apply apply this one, apply this variable set. Okay, and when I define a new action, okay, and my action will simply add an object. My object will be a text, okay, a text in the foreground, and okay, my text can be a sample, etc. But actually, I can here enable the variable names, and by doing this, I have the possibility here and there to select variables that I defined in my variable set. So I will here define the okay. And in my variable set, also please note I defined two variables, the text and the size. And I only see the text one. It's because it's of it's of a type text. So of course it's logical that for text I only see variables of kind text. And here for the size, I now see the size. Okay, I have to pick up a font. Okay, this one. Perfect position, center, etc. I could also use a value for the offset. But I will say center, center. Okay, I will use a fill. I will make it red and no stroke, or maybe a white stroke. No, yeah. Okay, text, foreground, etc. Right. So add variable text. Okay, add variable text here. And now you see when I run this one, I always have to fill in that screen where I can choose. So I can choose between sample and confidential. These were the two. So that was the text I typed in the pop-up. But because I enabled also the manual input, I can also define the text I want. For instance, let's say bit stop training. Okay, and I can add the size of yeah 25 for instance. Okay, and here it is. Okay, I shouldn't have had the stroke, so I will undo that. I'll change this, add object. Okay, and I will just remove the stroke. Let's first try the sample here. Okay, you see it works fine. Okay, if I want to place it on the upper side, so I will undo this, and let's say I want to place it here, position the left media box with let's say 10 millimeters here. Okay, I did something wrong. Yeah, I know what was wrong. With the view here, I can here show object outside the page box, and there it is. Okay, so what happened here is the offset x, okay, is okay, but the y has to be -10 to go into the page. Okay, and let's do it again. Okay, and there it is. So you see, that's how we manage to create action lists, but those actions have variables in there. Can be, of course, the text like this can be point size, but can be other settings, and that way we can make them more clever. And also we don't have to to make all those different variables. For instance, for the barcode, if I have to add 10 different barcodes on a regular base, well, I don't have to create 10 actions. I just make one with the variable from a barcode, and it works as well. Okay. We will also show you tomorrow how we can use those variables in combination with PitStop server. That's also good to know. While I'm talking about this text here, it's also interesting to know here we have a variable button. That's a bit different. It's not the variable of the variable set I used, but these are variables like, for instance, the document title, etc., the full document path, and those things. So if you type this, well, the name of the document will be added to my PDF. The full document path will be added. So I can, for instance, add that outside of the document. Can be also very interesting. Okay, Freddy wants to add something.
Yeah, regarding the barcodes, there was also something about checking what barcodes are in a file. And well, there is an action for that. So this is new, a new action since the latest version, PitStop 2019. Now, here you see check barcode. So here you can check for a specific barcode, even with a specific value, or you can ask to check them all, and then these will appear in the log, both in your well, in the report. Can be, of course, also in the XML. Now, also a general remark about the actions. It's already a couple of years ago that I counted them, and there were well over 400 actions at that point in time. I think that now we're probably shy of 500, and that is indeed a bit of a challenge when you work with action lists. That is, yeah, what action do I have to use out of these many? Well, practice makes perfect. So yeah, browse around. If you want to do something with barcodes, then yeah, typing barcode in the search field is not a bad idea. And then you will see what it comes up with. It's of course not always that straightforward. I will admit that, but yeah, what can I say? Practice, and cheat. So look at existing action lists that are there. Yeah. Use existing global changes and save them as action lists so that you have something to go by. Because very often something you want to do, there's already something that comes close, and then you simply modify it a little bit. So the check barcode. And there's the XMLs for there was a question about using XML with PitStop server, and we will do that tomorrow. Yeah, and there's always also a question. Oh yeah, set Pantones to overprint. Now action lists are not always difficult. You want to set Pantones to overprint. Now if you look for Pantone here, you will have something like normalize Pantone and so on. But no selection, yeah, because Pantones are spot colors. Yeah, so you say here select spot color, yeah, so that selects all the objects in all spot colors, and then you want to change overprint. Okay, let's try overprint over here. Change overprint, yeah, and now you change the overprint, yeah, this one here, yeah, that's a spot one, yeah, select all spot colors, and you change the overprint. Now, so this will change the overprint on all of them, well, both the stroke and the fill, if it is using both. There's also the overprint mode, yeah. Yeah, the overprint mode 0 and overprint 1. I talked about that yesterday. Yeah, it's the one that you will want. I'm not sure if this by default it sets it to, but okay, let me remove that. So select all spot colors, set fill and stroke to overprint. So this one is selected. I'll use the inspector here to remove the, to set it to knockout. Yeah. Okay. And now we can run the action list. It was this one, huh, that I changed. So if we run this one, yeah, show result never. Yeah, but you can see it as well in the selected object. Now it was changed to overprint and it's in OPM1, so that's okay. And should it be in OPM0, you want it in 1, well, it's simply a matter of adding the overprint mode to to the action list. Yeah.
Okay, and I want to add something extra because it's also a good idea to name your action list with a uh, very nice name that explains what it does. Because when, of course, when we say you can search for it, and so your text has to be descriptive. And by the way, sometimes you change an action like Freddy did here. So actually, I have to know that if I want to use an action that changes that set my separation color to overprint, I have to look for add variable text. So thank you, Freddy, for missing in my action. So
You're welcome.
you're welcome, he says. That's not a problem, but of course I will just rename this one so it makes sense, of course. Huh? So I will say, for instance, um, set spot to overprint. Okay, this makes sense, of course. Okay, the author is in. Okay, Freddy. Okay, right. Um, so indeed, as Freddy said, play with all the existing actions. Cheat, go to see how it's defined, and then what's also interesting is to have challenges. When you have a challenge and you receive some files, and then you have to solve it. Then you begin to open the action, the list of all the 500 actions you have, and you look for the right one, and it can be very interesting, and you can solve nice things there. And I did that with this file. So a few years ago, I was making automatic database publishing and catalogs, and for these ones, actually for these pictures, we first received small, low resolution, awful JPEG pictures. So the result was awful. So I asked for nice vector files, and yeah, I got them from the customer, but these were the files actually. So kind of, yeah, CAD/CAM files or something, technical files. But actually, I only want here this part of the drawing to be placed on in my catalog. I have a lot of files like this. This is one of them, but this is only a selection. There are a lot of them. So that's also where we will use PitStop server to process them in batch, of course. So, okay, I received the file. And well, I don't want to select and crop manual, of course, you can imagine. So the first thing was to have a look at the document, to examine, and then to say, okay, what colors do I have? Because when I see this, and actually I have, so what my final goal is just to keep this part. Okay, I want to keep this part, and I want to get rid of all the rest. So, okay, I see I have blue here and I have blue there. I can eventually make a selection based on the coordinates. This is possible. I showed that yesterday. I can here select an area and so on. And again, I can use that area in an action. But it was not possible because for some documents, this is moving a bit, so it was not the perfect solution. So I see blue here, and actually here we were lucky because as you can see, there is a difference in the blue here. There is a difference in the value of the blue. Okay. Okay, so that by seeing this, I can imagine we can maybe select all the objects with this blue and delete them. Okay. Uh, Then here we have black. Okay, it's a RGB black, so it's not perfect for printing, but we will just modify that. We'll change it to real CMYK black, etc. Um, and then we have here text elements. Okay, can maybe this is also interesting. Show wireframe, because sometimes you see differences in document and so. And also here, so this is not text. This is outline text. Okay, so okay, so we'll keep that in mind. Um, so what I will do, I will open the action. I will show you the results. Okay, and okay, encoding for horizontal. Okay, what I did here, I opened the file, and yeah, this file opens correctly, but for some files, the content was shifted to the right or to the left or whatever. It was not correctly displayed in the document. So what I did, I select everything, I resize the media box to the selection. That's what I explained, and also with the offset, I can make it bigger, smaller, etc. I change the other boxes. Okay. Then I'm looking for the, okay, what you also see here, this is a very long action list. So when you have a very long action list, it's a good idea to group elements together. So you just select some elements and then you can make group. No, I don't know if it will make them directly. Yeah, it works that way. And then you can rename this. Okay, you can rename it. Okay. Um, so you make it clear, and also it's also possible to move them up and down. So you move the whole group up and down. So that's also very easy. Okay, so I select everything. I select the stroke with that color, and I convert it to real CMYK stroke. I have another one with this device gray black, and I convert it to CMYK. There is also possibility to select what we call impure black, etc. It's a bit the same results. I can then, okay, and then I remove the blue one element, so the values with this blue element, and as you see, I remove selection. That's what I explained previously. So remove selection, we just delete the elements. Then there is yeah, this one. You see this stroke, and that's also a stroke, but with another value. So I select this one, I remove. Of course, I could also put these together and use an OR operator. That would be shorter to write, so maybe it would be best to do it that way. Then I convert everything to CMYK. In this case, I remove the blank elements. Okay. Yeah, this is not perfect. This is in this case, this will only remove the elements that have a white or a zero fill and a zero stroke. So I should separate that and use the OR. And then this is to remove modular shelving system. So that's the text we see here. So because, by the way, the other text is selected this way, select text segments and is then removed. But this here is not text, okay? So I use here select object inside a region, and that's what I told you. You can draw a region, uh, and then you can grab it, or have selection, and you have the coordinates here, or you can edit them, etc. Also interesting to know, when you work this way, you can select the objects that are totally inside the region, that are inside the region or overlapping the region, that are outside the region or overlapping or completely covering the region. So with those settings, you can also make interesting. Can be very interesting to make the right selection. Okay, and then when that's done, I resize the boxes. Okay, and in this case, I have two versions. I have one for the landscape file, for the vertical file, because the region here is not the same. Okay, but actually, I can make it better. I can solve that in one action, because it's also possible to um, to select page by orientation. You see here, so I can add this. I can make it up, and I can select the page by orientation, and only select the landscape pages, and then I can remove this text on the landscape page with, of course, the correct region for the landscape page. And then I can make another one and select the page orientation portrait, and then duplicate this one and just modify the region here. And then I have one action that does both. Okay, so a long explanation for very fast results. I will just apply it, run, okay, and go, and that's it. Of course, that's for one file, but as I said, there are hundreds of files. So then we will use a PitStop server. So we will show that tomorrow. We will so we can process all these files in batch. So that's it. I am at the end of my examples. Freddy will add something, and we'll also have a look about the last questions you submitted. So if you have questions, it's now or never.
Yeah, I can see there are questions about yeah, where are the links and so on. Yeah, these were all in the presentations. There's the perhaps on the chat. Laurent, you have the chat. You send the link to the Dropbox again, so that you can find all those files there. There is still one thing I would like to talk about. There was a question about something you showed, Laurent, with the step and repeat of business cards, for doing that with business cards on multiple pages. Yeah, because that is indeed something which is a bit yeah, more involved. Action list wise, and there's a few words I would like to say about that. Have you sent the link?
Yes,
Yep.
So on the chat box.
Yeah. In the chat you should see the link. Yeah, it's bit.ly /pitstop training with capital P and capital T, and then so it's quite easy to remember. Okay, I'll show. Yeah, the one with the business card. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. But also add the second one. So let's add make this 4 pages. So yeah, simply add it from here in yeah. So yeah, cannot be. This cannot be the same. Yeah, indeed. So if you take the other one, yeah, that one, yeah, you drop it in there. Okay. So suppose you have a case like this where you want to repeat multiple ones. Yeah. Now, when you think about an action list, and this is also valid for pre-flight profiles and global changes, when PitStop goes through the action list, it will always go through the document in one pass. Yeah. So it starts at page 1, and it goes all the way up to the last page, and it doesn't go back. Yeah. So if you select, yeah, if you now in PitStop 2019 last version, we did add possibility to go back. Yeah, and that is here called split action list. Yeah. What split action list does, so what you would normally not be able to do, yeah, is let me do. I will illustrate the principle. I'm not going to do the complete implementation, Marco, but I will explain the principle. So I select page page range here, page 3, for example. Yeah, and then I will yeah, do a copy or cut. Yeah, let's do cut so that we can see it. Huh? Yeah, so I'm going to cut page 3, and then I'm going to select page 1. Yeah, and then I'm going to paste it. Or yeah, perhaps I should take. This is of course from page 3. Yeah, so select page 3, cut it, select page 1, paste it. And I did a cut, so I would expect page 3 to become empty, yeah, and to be placed on top of when I, where is my, oh here, the untitled one, yeah. I'll also, so just so we see, so it cuts it, then, okay, fine. Run, yeah. So it's cut from page 3, but it's not placed on page 1. Although you could say, yeah, we don't see it because it's the same page, right? So let me undo this, undo the execute action list, and I'll select this one here. I'll make this one. I'll make this one empty. Yeah. So the untitled one. Yeah, you see another bug in Acrobat. It doesn't refresh. Yeah. So I'll save this and add yeah 4 pages. Yeah. Right. Okay. So now it gets updated. So if I do this, run. Yeah. Page 3 is empty, but page 1 is also empty because what happened in the action list? Yeah. Yeah. PitStop jumped to page 3. But because it's already past page 1, it didn't go back to page 1. Now, and that's where split action list comes in. Split action list, what this basically says is, yeah, start at the top again. Yeah, and we can quite easily and nicely see that as well in combination with another feature from PitStop 2019. That is here the action list visualizer. Yeah, we can hold on page 3. Did I save it? Shit. Okay, let's do some copying and pasting there. Or yeah. Okay. Good. Thanks. So if I now go back here to page number 1 and I select objects, so remove them so we can nicely see that. So I can save this one. Huh? Open and close it and open recent just to get that visualization going again. Yeah, okay, there we go. Right, so I'll stop this one here. So select all, select page range, select page number 3, cut the objects, yeah, split the action list, so jump back to the top, select page number 1, paste, yeah, and that should work. And in combination with viewing the action list visualizer, which was not new, but here we can say do this on all pages. So let's have a look at what happens. So we start with select all, select page range number 3, cut. You see, it jumps back to the top. Yeah. and it goes through all the pages, yeah, and then it continues. And if you now look at page number 1, that's where the content from our page number 3 is. Yeah. So this is a bit special. It's a bit of a special concept that you have to be aware of. Hmm? Action lists are always executed on all pages, starting from page 1, stopping with the last page, unless you place split action list, and then it will jump back. So, Marco, if you want to go, um, um, place these 4 pages, then you have to cut the second page, jump back to the first one, cut the third one, and of course you can place them in multiple clipboards. And then of course also don't forget that if you take everything from the 4 pages and you place them on the first page, that you will have 3 empty pages afterwards. So you will also still have to remove the empty pages. Yeah, there's stuff for that as well. Yeah, remove empty layers, remove empty page. Yeah, because what you cannot do is simply say, that's another thing. Yeah, you cannot simply say select page 3, remove page. Yeah, what you can do is you can make page 3 empty, and then remove empty page. That is something that will be would be possible. Okay. Yeah, I think we can stop for today. Of course, there's still a lot of things to be learned about action lists, lots of use cases you can think of, some of which are quite easy to do, others that will be a bit more involved, but hey, that's the nature of action lists. Yeah. So thank you for your presence for today as well, and I hope to see you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you all, and see you tomorrow.